In the next lecture, I'll be talking about installing your Kubernetes cluster using kubeadm. You only have to follow these lectures if you're not using kops or any other solution. So these are just an alternative of spinning up a Kubernetes cluster on bare metal or on another cloud than AWS that doesn't have a specific tool to build Kubernetes. So you are free to skip those lectures if you already have a Kubernetes running. kubeadm is a toolkit by Kubernetes to create a cluster. It works on any dep or RPM compatible Linux OS, for example Ubuntu, Debian, which use Debian packages, and Red Hat or CentOS, which use RPM packages. This is the main advantage of kubeadm, because a lot of other tools are operating system or cloud specific, and kubeadm works on a lot of different environments. You just need to have a compatible Linux OS that has dep or RPM packages. The tool itself is still in beta. We are now Q1 2018, but it is expected to become stable somewhere this year. It is very easy to use and lets you spin up your Kubernetes cluster in just a couple of minutes. kubeadm supports bootstrap tokens. Those are simple tokens that can be used to create a cluster or to join nodes later on. The tokens are of the format that is displayed here, and we will use those tokens in the demo, so it will all become clear when we join a node to our cluster. We'll be using those tokens to make sure that the joining of the nodes is secure. kubeadm supports also upgrading and downgrading of the clusters. It does not install a networking solution. You will have to install a container network interface compliant network solution yourself using kubectl apply, as I will show you in the demo. So kubeadm doesn't come with a network solution, but there are many network solutions available, so you can just plug those in. It's called a CNI, Container Network Interface. Prerequisites. We need to have a Debian package or RPM package compatible system. 2 GB of memory we should have. 2 CPUs for the master nodes are recommended. Network connectivity between the nodes, otherwise it will not work. It can be a private network using internal IP addresses or even public routable internet IP addresses. In this case, it's best to use a firewall to only allow access within the cluster and to the users. So sometimes, depending where you deploy the cluster on, you might even only have a public IP address. And you just have to make sure that you shield the access away from other users on the internet. If you deploy on-prem, it's probably going to be a private network using internal IP addresses. And typically you need minimum 2 nodes, 1 master node and 1 node to scale pods on. By default, you shouldn't be running your pods on the master, but if you only have 1 node, you can still configure Kubernetes in a way that you accept launching pods on the master node, so that you only need 1 node. But typically, we're going to use a minimum of 2. Next, there will be a demo, and in the demo, I will use DigitalOcean to spin up droplets, which are VMs. DigitalOcean is a good choice, I think, because it's not as expensive as the other cloud providers, and I'm also not going to use any cloud-specific features, so that it doesn't really matter whether you run it on DigitalOcean or on-prem or on another provider that provides you with VMs or bare metal boxes. You can get $10 worth of credits if you use the following link to sign up with DigitalOcean. So here's the link, and if you sign up using this link, then you will have $10 that you can use to do this course. A 2 GB memory droplet currently costs $10 a month on DigitalOcean, but it is billed per hour. So you can run, for instance, 2 times a 2 GB RAM droplet for half a month, or even 4 droplets that have 2 GB of memory for a bit more than a week. So depending on how long you're going to run it, you can then run more of them or less of them until you reach $10. And then after these $10, you'll have to pay for your compute. So next will be the demo.